First, thank you so much for doing this interview with me, especially because it's kind of funny. I was just explaining this earlier to your PR person, and when I got the email on this event, I had just sort of scanned over it, so I wasn't sure what was going on. But then once I read it, I went, "Ooh, this is big."
Mm.
Because it's not just because of the variety of artists who are going to be on, but it's the memory and the celebration that is going to be happening at Massey Hall. So for folks who don't know what's going to be going on, please explain what's happening at Massey Hall, please, because this is something very significant, especially for this year.
Absolutely. So, my name is Dan Cervantes, and my group, Mrs. Henry, we're performing as Chest Fever at Massey Hall Saturday, November 18th, to celebrate the last waltz, the iconic farewell concert event we all know and love by the band. And as you mentioned, this year is especially, with impact and memory of Robbie Robertson, obviously the amazing singer songwriter of the band, and one of the big inspirations of why we started doing this music, along with Levon Helm, Garth Hudson, Rick Danko, and Richard Manuel.
I've had the honor of interviewing Robbie several times, and I always, it was funny because when he passed, I put up a picture like we all do, and one of the things I said was, there are people who say they're cool. Robbie never had to say he was cool. You just met him and you just said, "Damn, this guy is cool." Loved what he always talked about. Always had that great smile. Always had that sparkle in his eye, even though he would talk about all the crazy things that went on in his life. I'm curious, did you ever have a chance to meet him? And if so, what was your experience? If not, what was this music experience like for you?
For sure. Yeah, no, never had the chance. Ships passing in the night, so to speak. And you know, uh just a lot of times with people like Levon, Richard, Rick, still have never met Garth. Would love to one day, and just send my love to him and his family and all of them. And hopefully he's around us for as long as he can be. But from everyone who talks about him, you get this idea of the person in the story. And musically, as a guitar player, I go from that route immediately on the influence, because I wouldn't be the guitar player I am today if I didn't first hear Robbie. And he kind of wrote the book how to be a lead guitar player and a rhythm guitar player and a songwriter, and how to fit in a band. And I would say if I didn't have that, and if I didn't connect with Robbie from an early age in my career as a musician, I wouldn't have gotten it. And once, I feel like, to young, inspiring, guitarists looking to figure out how to do it, just go listen to Robbie. You figure out how to be a guitar player in a band.
Absolutely. So let's go back to what you explained earlier. I want people to understand, to talk about your band and how does this all work with you guys in the show, because you mentioned two things involved and it might have gone over some folks' heads.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that they understand how this is working, because this is very significant for this show.
Absolutely. So, we have an original group called Mrs. Henry, and we started the band Mrs. Henry is an inspiration from Bob Dylan and the band, a collaboration of a song called Please Mrs. Henry. And we started playing the band's music as Mrs. Henry. And we first performed the Last Waltz concert on a request for a venue. They wanted to have a Last Waltz celebration, as there are around the world. And we were like, sure, we love the band. We already play the band's music. We have three lead singers in the group, the keyboardists. And at the time we were four-piece, and we're like, let's do it. And we did it. And it ended up just taking on a life of its own. We made a documentary about it. We didn't expect to have the reception it did, but it just kind of blew up. And from that, the word just spread around. And by 2020, we were ready to go take the show around the world. Obviously, we all know what happened in 2020. Coming out of the gate post pandemic, we did our first tour, and the folks from that now represent the band came to our show, and they were like, "We love what you're doing. Please keep doing it." And that's when we started Chest Fever. So the long-winded story of this is to tell you that Chest Fever is the name of the group playing the Last Waltz this year at Massey Hall. And we've been touring the country, touring America as Chest Fever since June of 2022. And we did a celebration of the last waltz at the Horseshoe Tavern. It was sold out on a Monday night last year. And someone got the idea to, hey, well, you guys should do this at Massey. And so we said, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. Yeah, sign us up. And now we're doing it at Massey Hall with more amazing, talented guests than I've ever, can even think about and rattle off names like Sylvia Tyson, Colin Linden, Albert Lee, Scarlett Rivera, Mark Ford, who's a great friend of ours now from the Black Crowes, um, Cindy Cashdaller, virtuosic steel guitar player. Host Michael Williams of Much Music is amazing. He's such a great dude and awesome, awesome person and human. I mean, the list goes on. A ton of tremendous up and coming singer songwriters, talented Canadian musicians as well. The Red Hill Valleys, Rebecca Hawker, The Pears, John Muirhead, Benjamin Dakota Rogers, Devin Cuddy, who's Jim Cuddy's son from Blue Rodeo. And yeah, there's more. There's many, many more. Oh, Tom Bones Malone and Blue Lou Marini of the Blues Brothers. It's insane, and then the show's going to be insane. There's over 30 guests. There's going to be a string section. I'm sure. It's just it's going to be a party and an event that you wouldn't want to miss out on.
It's one thing to have all these massive guests. It's another thing when you could say, I played at Massey Hall. How does that feel to be playing in one of the most iconic venues, not just in Canada, but in the world?
Oh, I mean, it's it's gonna feel very real. It feels like a dream, and as this has been going from the idea of a dream, it will be a reality next weekend. And yeah, I've had a chance to see a show once at the Royal Albert Hall in the UK, and I can only imagine the magic that these kind of halls do speak for themselves. There's a reason why some of the most iconic records of all time have been recorded at Massey Hall. One of my favorites, Rush, All the World's a Stage, which I grew up listening to. I didn't know until I went there that it was recorded there, and I was like, my God, I've listened to this record. I've worn out the grooves on this record, learning these parts, and it was recorded at it's one of my favorite records of all time. And so thus, there must be a magic there because, a teenager in his bedroom in California was hearing the echoing the halls of salesmen there. So,
How does it feel knowing that? Because at some point, the band will be no more. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Sure. We know this. But the legacy of the band is being played through you guys. How does it feel knowing that you're going to be able to keep this legacy going on stage with their music through you guys? And when new generations are coming up and they're hearing this music and they're going, well, I wish I could have seen back then, but no, you can still see, but this is how you do it. How does it feel being able to have that on your resume?
I mean, it's an amazing, I never thought in a million years that would be the case for us as, the goal as a musician is to make millions of people happy and spread the word and to get the honor to, be a custodian of this catalog and this music and give people an opportunity from young to old a chance to experience it live. And we're not them, we're us, but the music is for all of us. The music is there. The music will never die. And so that's what's amazing to see is, rock and roll is very much alive. We see, the band's music has maybe the biggest array of fans and the biggest spread of an audience I've ever seen in my life. And it comes across. We haul around a real piano. We don't second cut it. We do it how they did it. We haul around a real Lowry organ that we revitalize and have spent time to learn how to use it. We load the gear in, we load the gear out. We are there from the start to finish. And I play a Fender Pro 59 Pro, dimed all the way, and rip it. And the band plays. We've heard, they're like, you guys are about as loud as the band, maybe louder. We definitely play with our 21st century kick, and we're kids that grew up in the 90s. So for us, we play with that spirit. We don't walk around on it. We definitely run with it. So it's an honor, and it's a great opportunity to do, and something you got to see, because I never grew up getting to see a band do this. And I like to think that if I can, some other kid in his bedroom loving the band turn on, hears, oh, there's a band that does it. And not only that, they're like a real rock band. They're not just like a bunch of dudes put together. Like, no, we're a real band. We're dudes we've been playing together for 10 years now. And we all started the same way that the band did, playing little bars, playing a pub like we just went to last night after a rehearsal, where, it's just like, playing the 3-4 hour gigs of covers, Little Richard, Bo Diddley. You're playing the band, you're playing Up on Cripple Creek, you're playing the Stones, you're playing this, and you play for 4 hours, and then you go, and the next day you go play another 4 hours, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you learn and you get better. That's the tradition of a band. So if anything, we're stoked that we have people taking recognition and an opportunity to continue the tradition of the band.
I don't want to go off topic, but just off the top of my head, because you were naming all these great artists who I grew up listening to. What do you think about the fact that we have a new Rolling Stones album and a new Beatles song out in this day and age?
I think it's great, man. I think it's great. The creativity and the passion to do music never stops. It doesn't matter how old you get. So I think it's great. I want more. I'm like, it's good. Keep it going until the last drop.
Yeah, and you know what?
Last man standing.
And I just heard supposedly there's some new Paul McCartney tracks being released today. Oh, wow. So it looks like they're really going into the vault to find all this great music. I'm curious, at the show, is there merch?
Oh, there's merch. There'll always be merch. Yep. And we finally figured out how to get how to take credit card payments in Canada. So that's the whole thing. We've been as an American band. We actually started Chest Fever with a fellow Canadian from Edmonton. His name's Doug Oregon. Shout out to him. And he's officially retired from the group but we still love him, and he's an amazing, talented musician, incredible guy. But being an American band and touring in Canada, we've learned how to cross the border the best we can, how to mind our P's and Q's, and we finally figured out how to accept credit cards. So merch, posters, records, all the above. We actually re-recorded music from Big Pink, and we'll have that on CD for now, and Rock of Ages as well. As the last 2 years, we've toured 2 records, which is Rock of Ages and music from Big Pink, playing them in their entirety.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. So when is the show? How do we get tickets? And what time is it kicking off?
For sure. The show is Saturday, November 18th at Massey Hall. You can get tickets online at their website at masseyhall.com. You can also get tickets on chestfeverofficial.com/thelastwaltz, and you can learn about all of our great guests and their histories and videos, and content, and podcasts, all this stuff about The Last Waltz, about Chest Fever performing The Last Waltz and our journey. And get them one and all. They're definitely selling, and they're selling quick. So we emphasize to people, if you want to go see this show, go get them now, because you don't want to hear about this show from everyone telling you, like, what if you're thinking about, I don't know, it's like a band tribute. This isn't a tribute. This isn't even a cover. This is just gonna be something that you're gonna have been thankful you were at, and you're gonna tell everybody, like, man, you get to share it at the table over the holidays about it, reminisce on memories, and it's just gonna be a night. It's gonna be one of those for the books. I know it.
And anybody who knows the band knows, and I even asked Robbie about this, and he confirmed it for me. Whenever they performed, one concert was never the same as the other, because it was literally as if it was a jam session. And my assumption is this show is going to be the same thing. Once you see it, you're never going to see this type of show. Again, even if you have the same artist, it's not going to be the same show. It's a jam session, one time only. You see it, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's going to be an after show as well with there's going to be jams from all these people. I mean, it's not every day that you get Albert Lee, Mark Ford, Colin Linden, Scarlett Rivera in a room together. And we'll just say that, like, if you want to hear what that sounds like, what happens when you mix that, you're gonna have one freaky salad, I'll tell you that.
Brother, it is so good to talk to you. I'm glad we did this interview. So happy you're coming here to Toronto to give us an early holiday Christmas gift. And with the way the world is right now, man, we need a couple of hours just to forget what's going on outside, enjoy what's going on inside. Thank you so much, and looking forward to the show, man.
Thank you too, man. Pleasure. Again, we hope to see you.